Hi, this is Si here from MusicRadar. We're here at Ministry of Sound with James from Freemasons. It's the Propellerhead Producers Conference, and James is going to be chatting to us a bit about Reason 5 and how he's getting on with it. So, what do you make of the new features that Reason 5 has introduced?
Well, it was one of those things when we saw the initial press splash and even just the pre-releases. We suddenly it was a kind of moment of lust, because within a closed system to have the new pitch shifting functions that are in with the record, a proper Rex player as well for the first time, the drum machine as well. That was just one of those moments where it was a kind of so I constantly hassled them until they gave me a beta copy, and then I agreed to do this as well.
So how long have you had your hands on a copy now then?
I think we've had it for about getting on for 6 weeks.
Okay, so what are you finding you're using most of the new features from Reason 5?
The first thing that it was a revelation as soon as we got Record, which is the integration between Reason and the new version of Record, was the real-time time stretching. We do an awful lot of remix work, and because of that we've had to really carefully invest in what we're using for time stretching software. We've gone through pretty much all of the major ones. We had to invest in it, and then this came along, and I've got to be honest, it completely blew most things out of the picture. We found that the time stretching algorithm within within Record, as part of the Reason package, is the most accurate for time stretching vocals. Not in huge stretches. You know, if you're talking about a 25% shift, and anything's going to complain at that level. But for the nominal kind of work that we do, where we're taking something from, say, 118 BPM up to 126 or 128, I've never heard anything that keeps the transients so perfectly in time. And the brilliant thing about it is you just lump it all in, work out your new tempo, and then export it. It's that simple. Because it's real time, you're not having to sit and wait for processors to work. You can literally sit there and work out how you're going to attack a mix, and slow it down and speed it up as you're going through that initial process. And that's, I mean, Ableton Live will do the same thing, but it doesn't sound like this. Yeah. It sounds incredible.
So, mentioning Ableton, obviously we're here talking about Reason, but what other bits of software and tools are kind of key to your setup you're using at the moment?
Well, we kind of switch between everything. I must admit, we're kind of we're chameleons when it comes to sequencing software. I do an awful lot of initial stuff in Reason and Record. We also use bits of Ableton Live as well. I suppose our main workhorse is mainly Logic because of its flexibility, but we always end up going back into Record to do certain parts, or Reason to do certain things, because there's just certain sounds in there we can't do. I even have a laptop set up where I have Reason and Record actually as a sound expander, literally plugged in with a little mini keyboard, so you can actually just play stuff back in, because there's certain things that it does that nothing else does. And then we will eventually, we've just moved on to mixing in Pro Tools as well, so we kind of go across the entire range.
Great. How about hardware? What kind of things do you use studio-wise, as in kind of, do you use hardware synths, or do you use all software? We do actually. We moved into a new room, and we were starting to do an awful lot of work for America. And from a mixing point of view, you're up against the best mix engineers in the world when you're working, especially on our stuff. Has always crossed the line between radio and club. But as we were starting to put radio mixes in directly for America, we found that we had to elevate what we were doing from a mixing level. So we've actually got a Neve summing mixer, some quite tasty bits of outboard, and from a synth point of view, I must admit I've become addicted to all of the vintage ones. Yeah. Things like the Roland MKS 80, the Super Jupiter, and I think I've just sourced a beautiful Jupiter 4 as well. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for chatting to us.
That's all right.
It's a really useful thing. Look forward to watching through your presentation later.
Wonderful.
Cool. Thanks, man.